Asim Munir in China, Ishaqdar in the US. Pakistan wants to play both sides, but it keeps receiving embarrassment in return. Getting flayed in the Indian Parliament and getting exposed under Operation Mahadev, where Indian forces gunned down 3 Pakistani terrorists who had carried out the Pahalgam attack, is not enough humiliation for Pakistan. You see, Pakistan has become numb to this humiliation because even its own ally, China, has not spared it. So what's happening? I'm Shubhangi Sharma and you're watching Fine Point. Let's get into it. Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff and self-appointed Field Marshal Asim Munir arrived in China last week with a sense of urgency. He cancelled his planned visits to Indonesia and Sri Lanka, hoping to placate China in the midst of its deep overtures to the US. Foreign Minister Ishaqdar was headed to the US to meet Secretary of State Marco Rubio, so perhaps Munir needed an explanatory tour to China beforehand. What followed, however, was a diplomatic debacle. Not only was Munir denied a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, but he was also subjected to a tough and direct interrogation by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the safety of Chinese nationals and projects in Pakistan. In the world of diplomacy, this dressing down was clear as day, and it was no accident. With Chinese engineers, workers, and even Pakistani personnel being repeatedly targeted and killed in Pakistan from Gwadar to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, China's patience has run out. In the past few months, several attacks on Chinese interests have rattled Beijing. From Baloch separatist attacks to TTP strikes, the Pakistani army has failed to secure even the most high-value corridors of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is a flagship BRI project. Instead of diplomatic niceties, Munir was met with cold suspicion. Wang Yi reportedly grilled him on the deteriorating law and order situation and the rising death toll among Chinese nationals in Pakistan. No joint statements, no loan promises, not even a symbolic photo op forget a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Just a tepid affirmation of the all-weather friendship in words alone. You see, Pakistan is trying to play both sides, and that's not lost on China. Munir's trip to China coincided with another significant diplomatic maneuver, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaqdar visiting Washington, D.C. to lobby with US officials. Adding more fuel to the fire, Pakistan awarded its second highest civilian honor, the Nishan-e-Imtiaz, to US CENTCOM Commander General Michael Kurilla. Let's pause there. This is the same General Kurilla who described Pakistan as a phenomenal counter-terrorism partner earlier this year, even as Pakistan shelters Lashkar-e-Taiba proxies and global jihadist networks. This honor came days after the US officially designated the Resistance Front, TRF, a Lashkar-e-Taiba front in Jammu and Kashmir, as a foreign terrorist organization.
Actually opposed it and said LET was different. So we were able to get into UN a recognition that PRF today is a proxy for the LET and is responsible for fighting.
While India stood vindicated, Pakistan was quietly lobbying Washington against such moves, and it failed. So what explains this contradiction? Desperation, of course. The TRF, being just another face of Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, is now a globally accepted fact. This not only humiliates Pakistan but puts it in a tough situation, whether it is in the FATF or at the UN. So Pakistan is hedging. It wants its ironclad brotherhood with China while cozying up to the US, which seeks to counter China. Islamabad needs all the money you can get, be it from China or the US-dominated World Bank and IMF. At the same time, it wants to present itself as a victim of terrorism while continuing its backing of terror. It wants to avoid FATF sanctions while still protecting its strategic assets, the terrorist groups. The double game is obvious and it is not sustainable. Now back to why China is angry. China is not known for airing dirty laundry in public, which makes this public snub of Pakistan's army chief even more remarkable. Here's what China sees: a collapsing economy with no plan to repay loans, terror outfits attacking Chinese interests with impunity, an army that uses terror as a tool but can't secure its own projects, and a strategic partner that courts Washington while holding up a begging bowl in Beijing. Pakistan's promises to protect Chinese investments have failed. Billions have been sunk into the China-Pakistan economic corridor and there are no substantial returns. Reports say that China has put in almost $62 billion. Others estimate it could be higher, almost $70 billion. The so-called game-changer corridor is now a corridor of chaos, with the Tehreek-e-Taliban and Baloch militants targeting it with impunity. And unlike the US, which might indulge Pakistan for its own strategic goals in Afghanistan or Iran, China sees itself as an investor first. If the business isn't safe, the partnership is not real. While China's patience is running thin, the US appears more indulgent. Why? Simple. It's utility. Pakistan still offers the US access to Afghanistan, intelligence on Taliban movements, and some degree of leverage over Iran. With tensions rising in the Middle East and America's retreat from full-spectrum involvement in the region, Pakistan can serve as a convenient listening post and logistical route. By bestowing state honors on CENTCOM's General Kurilla or even nominating Trump for the Nobel Prize, Pakistan is trying to keep itself on Washington's good side, even as its terror proxies continue targeting India. It's a transactional relationship, and Pakistan is playing it to the hilt. From India's perspective, this moment is a clear vindication. For years, New Delhi has highlighted Pakistan's doublespeak on terrorism. And for years, it has pushed global powers to see Pakistan not as a victim, but as a perpetrator. Now the mask is truly slipping. Asim Munir, the most powerful man in Pakistan, was forced to endure a cold lecture from Beijing. The ironclad brotherhood looks rusted and brittle. And even as Pakistan cozies up to the US, its own duplicity is becoming impossible to hide. And China's frustration is not rooted in ideology. China did not mind Pakistan's terror hubs until they came for Chinese interests. This frustration is a function of failed trust, broken promises, and growing risk because CPEC is turning into a really bad investment. The US, meanwhile, is using Pakistan for short-term tactical gains, so-called counter-terror operations. But neither side trusts Pakistan. So in a nutshell, Pakistan is barely afloat, and that's because of its geography and mercenary nature. Its proximity to Afghanistan and Iran make it useful to the US. Its enmity with India makes it useful to China, and it is a useful hired gun for both. But being someone else's hired gun does not earn respect. In fact, quite the opposite. But having divorced any sense of self-respect, Pakistan is perhaps happy to take all the humiliation and embarrassment as long as the aid keeps flowing.